Political tension within few months has unfortunately came to a terrible point, where Russia started invading Ukraine. Many people, including myself, thought that at least we are civilized enough to not start a war in this day and age, but here we are. And while the battle is ongoing, I wanted to emphasize the importance of another type of war, which is the cyber warfare. I don't know if you saw, but if you are on Twitter for just few minutes, I'm sure that you will come across with some type of hack-related news. Although some of them can be misinformation, we cannot underestimate it. Take a look at this example. Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine said that they are creating an IT army. He also said that, quote, "We continue to fight on the cyber front." This clearly shows that the cyber warfare is very important. On top of that, we also have this table from CyberNow, which contains a lot of different groups, their sites, communication channels, and so on. And this also shows us that the scale of cyber war is not small, which brings it to us. What is our position in this war and how can we protect ourselves? More importantly, we need to ask ourselves who or what to protect. It could be us, our companies, our organizations, or maybe something completely different. Now, in this video, I will be focusing mainly on personal protection against the cyber warfare. Specifically, what I'm doing to protect myself as a software engineer. I won't be going over on company or organization-based security because it's a whole another game and I'm not a cybersecurity expert. So further ado, let's get started. First, we have passwords. Now, if you have a password that is similar to these ones, immediately pause this video and change it. These passwords should not exist. You never want to use a password that has your name, birth date, 1234 and things in that nature. They can be cracked in seconds. Next up, we have password length. As you can see, this is leaked password length chart from 2017. There we have a general bell curve structure. However, you can see a peak on 8-character passwords. And that is because many websites require its users to set a password at least 8 characters length. Generally, people go with the absolute minimum. We want to avoid that and set up a longer password with good random phrases in it. Using special characters and numbers is also a good idea. We are now in much better place. However, it is still not it. We always need to assume that the passwords that we use can be compromised in any time. So to take a measure against it, we need to set up a password rotation time. Like for every 60 days we change up our passwords. The rotation time can also be changed depending on its use case. To summarize the password section, we want to set long passwords, ideally greater than 15 characters. Our passwords should be random as possible and contain special characters, numbers, and so on. They also need to be unique, meaning that we use them only on a single place. Passwords should be used only once, meaning that we never want to recycle old passwords and use them again. And finally, we rotate them regularly for extra measure. These are all good security practices, but managing them manually is quite a challenge. Therefore, we have password managers. They are basically responsible for generating, storing, and rotating your passwords. Now, there is a trust element by using a password manager. However, they typically use the zero-knowledge architecture, which means that your passwords are encrypted before they leave your device. So, they don't even know what your generated passwords are, which is important. As for which one to use, it heavily depends on your situation and needs. Each offer various things, and as long as you pick a reputable one, you are good to go. Now, let's look into 2FA, or two-factor authentication. It is a concept that you might have used it before. You try to log in a website, they send a message to your phone number, you enter that number into a website, and only then you can log in. It is pretty standard thing to do in high security applications, such as banking systems and so on. However, you can actually do this on many sites. You can download Google Authenticator or Authy app on your phone to configure it. It is a straightforward process and it can add a lot of security to your accounts. Because even if someone knows your username and passwords, they still need to access your physical phone to log in, which is a difficult thing to do. So make sure to set up 2FA. Also a reminder, some service providers let you choose between SMS verification or app verification. If that is the case, use the app verification. SMS verification is still better than nothing, but it is relatively easy to intercept. Now, let's look at another aspect of cyber warfare prevention, and that is having a backup. Look, I know that it's said for years, again and again and again. But it is true. Having a backup is crucially important. If you don't have any, you are basically losing everything in a single failure, which is terrible. In this section, I will be giving my backup strategy, so that you can understand the principles behind that. To get started, I have my personal laptop. This is where I keep a backup of my main desktop PC. I take regular backups into my laptop. In addition to that, I have these two hard drives. They contain only the most important data and they are also encrypted by using VeraCrypt. So regardless of your operating system, they can still still be used. I also keep them offline at all times, meaning that they are never being connected to an online device since I put the data in it. This one stays in my home and that one stays in an external location. So in a case where I need to evacuate or something, I can pick either one of them. It seems like a bit paranoid, but as we saw recently, you'll never know what happens. This backup strategy covers the main parts. However, I still need to think a case where I won't be able to access any of them, or maybe they are all broke. And for this situation, I'm using AWS Glacier, and I also keep a copy of my data in there. So even if everything fails, I can still access my data, and that is basically my backup strategy. You can pick few examples from that and customize for your own needs. Now let's look at the most important cyber warfare prevention thing, and that is prevention against manipulation and social engineering. I'm sure that you saw a lot of misinformation and propaganda from both Russian and Ukrainian resources. And in times like these, it's pretty normal thing. But what you need to be aware of is the fraud attempts using these posts. They are typically in the following structure. They first create an urgent message and follow that by a shady link. Once you click that link, it's basically over. It may seem like it is easy to avoid, but still many people fall for it. And that is for a reason. They use a principle called priming, which means that after you scroll and check out same topic for a while, you wanted to see the next thing and the next thing and so on. As a result, you let your guards down. So before clicking any link, make sure that it's from a trustable and reputable source. Since we are speaking of malicious links, let's also mention the phishing attacks. You may have heard them before, but they come a long way from the Nigerian prince mails. Nowadays, they are much more personalized and customized. Take a look at this example. It seems very legit because it includes personal details like your name. So many people just assume that it is safe, which is a great problem. Or with the recent examples, scammers take advantage of this terrible situation and set up fake scenarios with fake donation addresses. Although using crypto looks like a shady way to collect donations, Ukraine is actually accepting donations as a cryptocurrency, which is actually pretty interesting. So again, the resource verification is very important. And that said, this is the basic introduction to personal cybersecurity. It is not a go-to guide, but things that will help you to become more aware of the topic, so you can prepare according to your situation. In the end, we will see how this terrible situation will turn out, and I can only hope that it ends as soon as possible and we won't see any more lives lost. So I hope you find this video somewhat helpful, and until next time, take care.